पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णम् उदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। स्कूल में जो भी पढ़ा है उसकी जिंदगी की रोज शुरुआत इन पंक्तियों से ही होती थी। अब जब मुड़ के देखते हैं इन पंक्ति को कि एक प्रतिबिंबित क्या करता है, तो मेरे को एक चेहरा नजर आता है और वो चेहरा है डॉक्टर एमपी छाया का। हमारे स्कूल का प्रेयर जो है उसकी जो हर एक पंक्ति है वो जीवन जीने का ढंग सिखाता है, और जितने भी ढंग बताए गए हैं उसी तरह जीवन जीते थे हमारे प्रिय डॉक्टर एमपी छाया जी, हमारे प्रिंसी, जो आज हमारे बीच नहीं है, लेकिन जाएंगे कहाँ, रहेंगे तो हमारे साथ, हमारे हृदय में और हमारे मन मस्तिष्क में। पूर्ण का ये बड़ा मजेदार ये शब्द है हमारे जो फिलॉसफी में। हम जब पूर्ण कहते हैं तो उसे कंप्लीटनेस कहना गलत होगा। हमारा तात्पर्य हमेशा पूर्ण से है, द इनफाइनाइट। हम इनफाइनाइट को एब्सोल्यूट कहते आए हैं हमेशा से। ओम पूर्णमद, इधर भी पूर्णता है उधर भी पूर्णता है, और अंत में ये जो श्लोक कहता है कि पूर्णता से अगर आप पूर्णता को निकाल लें, यानी इन्फिनिटी से इन्फिनिटी को निकाल लें, तो जो रहेगा एव वशिष्यते, वो भी इन्फिनिटी ही होगा। शिक्षक और जो छात्र है उनके बीच का जो रिलेशनशिप है, इससे बेहतर कोई श्लोक नहीं सिखा सकता। छाया जी ऐसे ही शिक्षक थे, ऐसे ही प्रिंसिपल थे, खुद इनफाइनाइट थे, और अपनी इन्फिनिटी उन्होंने अपने जो अनगिनत शिष्य हैं उनको देने की कोशिश की, ताकि वो भी इनफाइनाइट बने, जितना बन सके बने। इसी प्रेयर से हम आज इस श्रद्धांजलि सभा की शुरुआत करेंगे। प्रेयर को प्रस्तुत कर रही हैं हमारे ही स्कूल की हमारे मित्र शोभा भारद्वाज, 1980 की एलमनाई है। समय गुजरता है, उड़ के चला जाता है, तो शोभा के केस में कुछ ऐसा ही हुआ। वो सचमुच एयरपोर्ट डायरेक्टर बन गई और इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया के साथ आज संलग्न है। और स्कूल में छाया जी के सामने इस प्रेयर को बहुत बार गाया है। संगीत की छात्रा थी और छाया जी ने उनको एक बार स्टेज पे कहा था कि ये हैं हमारे स्कूल की लता मंगेशकर। तो आइए, समय तो बहुत गुजरा है, लेकिन सुनते हैं ये प्रेयर और शुरू करते हैं ये श्रद्धांजलि। द प्रेयर प्लीज।
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। हरि ओम्। ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा मा गृदः कस्य स्विद्धनम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत् कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता। सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा। नमस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारवृन्दाय पत्रनेत्र। येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्ण प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
कहीं खो गया मैं, क्षमा चाहूंगा, और हो सकता है आगे भी खो जाऊं, क्योंकि विषय ही ऐसा है और ऐसे एक इंसान के बारे में हम आज बात करेंगे। मैं नहीं बोलूंगा, जितने भी ये ट्रिब्यूट्स आए थे मैंने वो सारा, हमने हमारी जो टीम है बहुत मेहनत करके उनको कलेक्ट किया है और उसके कुछ स्निपेट्स हैं, कुछ टुकड़े हैं जिनको जोड़कर एक कहानी निकलती है। डॉक्टर छाया चीज क्या थे, और वही मैं आपके साथ शेयर करूंगा। रात को 3 बजे तक या आज सुबह 3-4 बजे तक जो जो श्रद्धांजलियां आई थी हमारी बी कीपर साइट में, हमने हम उसको ले पाए हैं। कुछ लोग शायद रह जाएं, अभी से मैं क्षमा चाहता हूं, और कुछ को लगे कि मैंने शायद थोड़ा एडिट कर दिया है तो मैं क्षमा चाहता हूं, लेकिन जरूरी है इस प्रोग्राम के लिए। और बीच बीच में मेरे पास बहुत सारे कागज हैं, मैं देखूंगा, पूरा मत मानिएगा, दोस्तों के बीच में है। व्यासाय विष्णु रूपाय, प्रेयर में था ना ये, वासिष्ठाय नमः। व्यास, विष्णु, वशिष्ठ, इनसे बड़े गुरु नहीं थे, और ये जो गुरु है ना, इन गुरुओं को प्रतिबिंबित किया डॉक्टर MP छाया ने अपनी शिक्षा पद्धति में, अपने 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 चरित्र में। डॉक्टर छाया के बारे में क्या बोले, मैं बोलूंगा नहीं, आगे निकलूंगा एक, लेकिन ये एक हो सकता है मैं 1 आध मिनट ज्यादा बोल जाऊंगा आज। रामायण में एक किस्सा है, जब आखिरी दिन युद्ध में रावण आ रहे हैं रथ पर सवार और बिल्कुल कवच वच पहन के, the leg is protected, the hand is protected, the 10 heads. It was a terrifying sight. विभीषण भाग के आए श्री राम के पास और बोला, कैसे हराएंगे इसको, कैसे हराएंगे? कही विधि जित बबीर बलवाना, ये तुलसीदास के शब्द हैं रामचरितमानस से। रावण रथी विरथ रघुबीरा, देखी विभीषण भयहु अधीरा। अधिक स्नेह मन भा संदेहा, बंदी चरण कह कहित स्नेहा। कही विधि जित बबीर बलवाना। तो राम ने कहा उस समय, तुम्हें मेरा रथ नहीं दिख रहा है क्या? मैं भी तो रथ पर हूं। कहते, कहां है आपका रथ? उन्होंने कहा, मेरे रथ के 2 पहिए हैं, सौरभ और धीरज। सौरभ धीरज तही रथ चाका, सत्य शील दृढ़ ध्वजा पताका। तुम्हें दिख नहीं रहा है? बल, विवेक, दम, परहित, दूसरे के बारे में सोचना, ये 4 अश्व हैं मेरे रथ के। और इन रथों को मैंने पकड़ रखा है जो उन रस्सियों से, उनका नाम है क्षमा, कृपा और समता, इक्वानिमिटी। ये जो चरित्र भगवान राम का उभर के आता है, मैं तो इन सारे गुणों को देखता हूं। और आप मानेंगे कि ये सारे गुण थे हमारे डॉक्टर एनपी छाया में। कभी वो राम नजर आते हैं, कभी क्रोधित हो जाए तो गुरु गोविंद सिंह जैसे 1.25 लाख सैकड़ों। क्या क्या रंग थे उनके, और इन सारे रंगों को ये जो ट्रिब्यूट्स आए हैं, इन ट्रिब्यूट्स के अंदर आप पढ़ पाएंगे, सुन पाएंगे। मैं सुनाता हूं आपको कुछ कुछ, थोड़ा धीरज रखिएगा, क्योंकि बाकी जो मेरी टीम ने इसको बड़ी मेहनत से इस प्रोग्राम को मेरे को सपोर्ट दिया है यहाँ पे, और मेरे को मौका दिया है ये बोलने का। आई एम ग्रेटफुल टू द भवनाइट एसोसिएशन एंड द स्कूल फॉर दैट. Archana Sethi Rihani, she writes, fondly called Princey, he was no less than a prince, a handsome and good-looking man. Archana Sethi Rihani, 1977 batch, a persona extraordinaire, the command in his voice, his impeccable speech, and the gait, so impressive as he walked through the school corridors as a father would do to ensure that his family is safe. So beautifully put. Vishal Mathur, 1990. सबके बैचेस नहीं है मेरे पास, क्षमा चाहूंगा। आप लोगों ने लिखा नहीं अपने बी कीपर में, लेकिन हमने कुछ कुछ ढूंढ निकाला। कितनी बार कान छूंगा आज। विशाल माथुर कहते हैं, द मैन हु शोड अस हाउ कंप्लीटनेस कैन बी लिव्ड। जिनके नाम से डर लगता था तो उनकी एक मुस्कान, एक शाबाशी के लिए हम जुटे रहते थे। He was an ideal for us and our parents. The stern but loving father figure. गौरव गुलाटी, 1984, the man in spotless white. इस white की बात करेंगे हम आगे जाकर. The man in spotless white who was feared and adored. ये बड़ा कॉमन निकल रहा है उनके लिए. People are remembering him as feared and adored. कभी सोचा है आपने, feared and adored हम किसे कहते हैं? भगवान को। बिल्कुल, हम भगवान से डरते भी हैं, भगवान से प्यार भी करते हैं। तो जो भी यहाँ लिख रहा है feared and adored, आप सोचिएगा कि एक्चुअली उन्होंने उनमें भगवान देखा है। आशीष खोकर, 1976 बैच, टीचर्स टीचर, माय गुरु, प्रिंसी, he made us what we are, gave us courage and confidence, depth and direction, forever smiling but firm, kind but stern. देखिए फिर से यही एक चित्रण उनका बड़ा सबके यहाँ से निकल रहा है। We should all nominate him for the Padma Bhushan Award. So I would tell Ashish Khokar that he's the best person to start thinking on those lines and start the process. Yes, Ashish, absolutely right. If you're listening to this, yes, he deserves much more. Yesterday, I got a call out of the blue from the former worldwide head of Chinmaya Mission when they heard that this is being done by Pavanites, and Dr. Swami Tejomayananda himself. And he said, I did not know what he has done for Chinmaya Mission, and the Chinmaya school movement is also incomparable. He was involved with setting up one of the finest schools in the country, still in the top 5 always, is the Chinmaya International Residential School in Coimbatore. We'll get to know all this about Chaya ji as we move along. Meenakshi Arora Narang, we have grown up seeing Chaya sir standing tall and elegant during bonding assemblies. His teachings are deeply ingrained in our personalities. Deepak Bansal, very nicely put. Then these are students who are much later, but see the impact of Dr. Chaya on these minds. Best teachers teach from the heart and not from the book. How right, Deepak? He was that. Shalini Bhargav, Guru Govind do khade kaake lagu pao. आपने सुना है ये कबीर का दोहा कोट करके वो कहते हैं, थैंक यू सर फॉर शोइंग अस द पाथ ऑफ righteousness, inculcating in us the right values and developing in us the ability to differentiate between right and wrong. Absolutely right. This is what he used to always teach us in so many ways. Dr. Chaya. Anup Sharma puts it beautifully. Anup Sharma is from, again, 1980 batch. They have a really an emotional aspect to this whole COVID thing, because my everlasting memory of Dr. Chaya is that his amazing, disarming smile that could do a lot more than words can ever do. I, on behalf of the 1980 batch, had made all the arrangements for the 40th reunion in school in May 2020. We had the confirmation from Dr. and Mrs. Chaya for the same from the school, but COVID changed all that. And we all regret missing the opportunity forever now. I can really understand the pain you feel, Anup, absolutely, and which your batch feels. I have taken out this part from your wonderful Shradhanjali, which is there in Beekeeper. And he quotes this beautiful line by Nida Fazli. I want to share that with you, not the whole poem. Tumhari zindagi, Nida Fazli साहब की लाइन है ये, तुम्हारी जिंदगी सिर्फ लंबी ही नहीं, बहुत बड़ी भी थी, जिसमें न जाने कितने जीवन संवर गए, न जाने कितने जीवन संवर गए, जिसकी जिंदगी जीवनों को संवार दे, लंबाई हम उसी से गिन सकते हैं जिंदगी की. तुमुल भारद्वाज पता नहीं कौन से बैच के हैं, लेकिन बड़ा छोटा सा लिखा है, बहुत खूबसूरत है. सिर्फ लिखा है इन्होंने, माय गॉड. What Chaya Sahab taught us is forever. I had a God. Don't we all? Beautifully put. Tumul in a short 15-second message. Puran Saran Bhatnagar, I am yet to come across an educationist with such devotion and dedication could show us the right path to be compassionate human beings. Yes, he always inculcated compassion in us before anything else. That's what she says here. Shefali Sunil Khurana, 1988 batch. Dr. Chaya was a man of strong presence and a heart of gold, a leader in every sense. He led by example, was very approachable. He taught us to respect every religion and every person. And if you remember, we used to have these, the earliest, my alumni friend would remember, the top of the school. At the head of the school, there was this temple. It was a Sarvadharma temple, and the classes used to be taken by Dr. Chaya himself. And he used to sit on the floor, and it was like an ashram kind of a setting, all sitting on the floor. And Dr. Chaya himself used to take the moral values and the classes. It is there where I first very reluctantly used to feel कि ये इतना क्यों पढ़ना है, लेकिन शुक्र है कि डॉक्टर छाया ने जबरदस्ती वो घुट्टी पिलाई जो आज जिंदगी में काम करेगी. कभी कभी शिक्षक को जबरदस्ती भी ऐसी घुट्टी पिलानी पड़ती है, लेकिन उसके लिए जो दम चाहिए वो डॉक्टर छाया में था. So Shefali says that she was a sports person and she was a diver, and that Dr. Chaya made it a point to talk to her about her sports, about her sporting career, and encourage her. The world needs more people like him. Absolutely right, Shefali. Ruchika Isar, I consider myself honored to have Ruchika Isar. Batch nahi hai. I consider myself honored to have Dr. M.P. Chaya as my mentor. Dr. Chaya was a visionary who knew how to illuminate the hearts of rudderless students with the light of knowledge. We have now a musical offering to Dr. M.P. Chaya. Sharat Srivastav, alumni, and is a classical violinist. He is the grandson of a great violinist, Pandit Joy Srivastav. He has played in his time with Sting. He has played with Birju Maharaj ji, Haribasar Chaurasia ji, Amjad Ali Khan Sahab. He was a member of the band Parikrama, then of course after that with Brigaya. And he has performed in various music festivals across the world. Naam lunga to kafi sare honge: Singapore, Edinburgh, हमारे हिंदुस्तान में ग्वालियर में तानसेन समारोह. He is going to present now his offering through the violin, the Indian classical violin. He is accompanied by his son. He is the grandson of Pandit Joy Srivastava ji, and his son is now accompanying him on the violin. And we have Shivang Jha, another young boy, who's accompanying on the tabla. Can we have Sharat Srivastava violin, please?
Namaskar. Today is a very special day. As you all know, we have gotten together to pay our tributes to the one and only Dr. M.P. Chaya. Chaya ji, as we all know, was an educationist par excellence. He was such an honest man, and every student who has come in contact with him, who has studied under him, knows what I'm talking about. Chaya sir, I have such fond memories when I was in class 8 or 9 when he used to come and teach us physics. He was the principal then, and we used to take part in competitions, sports competitions, and we used to play zonals. I used to represent our school in badminton. So I'll tell you one story. When me and my friend Sandeep, we went to Chaya sir to ask him, sir, we need to go during the school timings to practice badminton in Sardar Patel Vidyalaya. And Chayaji was, how are you going, kids? So we said, we'll take the bus. He said, no, don't worry. Take the school van. And he gave us the van, which used to take us to Sardar Patel Vidyalaya and bring us back after our badminton rehearsals, practices. So he was such a great van. I don't think anybody can match his level of understanding what education is all about. So today, I, along with my son Raghav and his friend Shivang, are going to pay some musical tribute to Dr. Chayaji and his family. And we will start a concert with Ragi Yaman, followed by a bhajan which every Bhavanite knows. And I'm not going to tell you that bhajan, you will hear it later. So thank you so much, and I'm honored and privileged to be part of this beautiful evening, part of this beautiful cause, and my sincere condolences and pranam to Maji, his wife, and his family. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया शरद जी, और सारे अवनाइट्स की तरफ से शिवांग और राघव को बहुत सी शुभकामनाएं, आशीर्वाद। उनको देख के बचपन याद आ गया अपना, हम भी सीखने की, सुनने की कोशिश करते थे। सुदीप चौधरी 1984 ही राइट्स, देखिए पता नहीं किसका नाम मैं कब लूं, बैठे रहिएगा मेरे साथ, आज बहुत लोग हैं और मैं आपको याद करूं और आप मेरे साथ जरूर रहिएगा। Sudeep Chaudhary, 1984. I believe that a large part of my persona today is a creation of Dr. Chaya and his team of teachers. That's an important link. As I meet up with classmates after more than 3 decades, I can see the common thread stringing us together. This string was woven by Dr. गीता में कृष्ण कहते हैं एक जगह पर, भगवान कहते हैं, I am the heart of everybody. Like a thread in a garland, a string going through pearls, I am the heart of everybody. I penetrate through every form and hold them together. That is what the Gita says. And it was Krishna saying, and is it not what Dr. Chaya, जो उन्होंने कहा है सुदीप ने, कि Dr. Chaya has strung this thread together and we are all there. कृष्ण, कभी व्यास, कभी वशिष्ठ, कभी मौला, कभी औलिया, कभी गुरु गोविंद सिंह, कभी कृष्ण। He was कृष्ण और हम उनके अर्जुन। और जब थोड़ा बहुत हम कमजोर पड़ जाते थे तो हम भी उन्हें अर्जुन की तरह कहते होंगे, और कहा होगा कितने लोगों ने, मैंने तो कहा है, लेकिन इस भाषा में नहीं, शायद उस छोटी उम्र की छोटी भाषा में। दृष्टि है ओझल सारथी मेरे, पथ मुझको तुम दिखला, मेरे कर्म का मेरे स्वधर्म से परिचय फिर से करवाओ। हाथ न कांपे, हाथ न कांपे धर्म धनुष पर, जब मैं चढ़ाऊं कर्म के तीर। गुण विशेषता क्रिया संबंध टूट के बिखरे सब जंजीर। ऐसे ही छात्रों को का निर्माण करने की आजीवन कोशिश की डॉक्टर छाया ने। स्वधर्म, आवर इनर कोर, वो क्षमता जो सिर्फ और सिर्फ मेरी है, उसको पहचानना एक शिक्षक का काम है। और डॉक्टर छाया हर स्टूडेंट को अलग नजर से पहचानने की क्षमता रखते थे। He was not a straight jacket educator, and that is why he is still a rarity in the world of education. And we are so privileged to be his students. ऐसे छाया जी के लिए क्या बोले। संजय दीवान लिखते हैं 1976, मेरे से 1 साल सीनियर हैं। देखिए मैंने अपनी उम्र बता दी आप सबको, और सबको पता है मैं 77 बैच से हूं। मैं अगर मैं शुरू में बोलना भूल गया, आज से एग्जैक्टली 50 साल पहले छाया जी से मुलाकात हुई थी स्कूल में, 71 when I joined the school. He remembers, Sanjay Diwan 1976 remembers, thinking deeper, thinking differently, and staying curious was a focus area of one of the classes in which Dr. Chaya taught them this when they were young. It was one of the first classes, and he remembers another very interesting class. It was maybe a physics class, because I have also had a chance to attend a few of the physics classes which he sometimes took when other teachers were not there. जब कोई नहीं, मिसिंग क्या कहते हैं, जीरो क्लास है क्या, पता नहीं, आप कुछ और बोलते हैं, तो वो आके पढ़ाते थे। He said to Sanjay's class, this is the same class I think as many, Pankaj and Ashish Khokar, कीर्ति उपल, मुझे जितने जो नाम याद आ रहे हैं, अमित पांडे. Everyone eats rotis, but do you know why it fluffs? And what is the thickness of the top layer and the proportion of the bottom layer? थोड़ी देर तक चली गया क्योंकि इमोशनल हो गया था मैं, बुरा मत मानिएगा. And he says, amazing. He was amazing as always. Sanjay Diwan. Anjali Khanna, 1985. It's a lovely incident. My father once took a friend to introduce him. The person had just returned from the Middle East and wanted his daughter to be admitted to our school. Hence, he offered, Middle East से जो आते हैं ना, ऑफर कर सकते हैं पैसा. Sorry, Anjali, I'm just joking. Don't take it seriously. Hence, he offered a huge donation for the school building. और उस समय स्कूल बिल्डिंग के लिए पैसों की बहुत जरूरत थी. And at that time, Anjali says, we were collecting donations for the new building. Chaya ji politely kept his hand on the shoulder of this person and the daughter. And he said, I have a responsibility towards your daughter, whether she eventually studies here or not. First, let her clear the admission test on her own merit and get admission here. Only then I can request a new parent for a donation, for a contribution to any fund. And if she does not get admission here, please remember that there are better options also in this city. कौन ऐसे कहेगा? कौन ऐसा कह सकता है? बहुत दम चाहिए ऐसी बात कहने के लिए. This honesty, she says, this value alert, which she calls, she says, which we get sometimes when we're about to make a mistake. This value alert is what? This alertness is what Dr. Chaya taught his students. Deena Malik has sent a lovely poem, 1985. अंजलि खन्ना 1985. अगर मैंने नहीं बोला, रोशनी से उजागर यह पथ, हम सब सवार उस रथ, कभी नीचे कभी ऊपर, कभी चढ़ाव कभी पड़ाव, कंकड़ पत्थर मिट्टी का रास्ता, हर पल संभाला उन्होंने जो है फरिश्ता. चलते 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 चले गए हम सभी इस डगर, उस डगर, बढ़ते रहे हर कदम निडर, वो नहीं रहे हमारे बीच में आज, फिर भी हमारे दिल में हमेशा करेंगे राज. नीना मलिक, लवली पोएम, थैंक यू वेरी मच. कंदर्प मोदी, ये अच्छा है, 1986 के हैं कंदर्प मोदी. When we graduated from school, बड़ा अच्छा सा उनका लंबा वहां पे है, मैंने थोड़ा सा लिया है वहां पे, सबका ही थोड़ा थोड़ा ले पाया हूँ. When we graduated from school, I came to a realization that Dr. Chaya was so much like my father. Besides looks and values, almost identical when speaking Hindi in a Gujarati accent. That's it. So, वैसा है, कंदर ने एक्सेंट की बात की है, हम सब ने भी वो एक्सेंट सुना है, तो हम भी वेट करते थे कि सर कब बूट को बुट बोलेंगे, बड़े प्यार से वेट करते थे हम. तो क्योंकि वो अगर अगर वो बुट में फीते नहीं हो तो गया काम से वो बंदा फिर तो, क्योंकि वो यू कैन नॉट वेयर योर, हम क्या करते थे उसको लोफर शूज कहते थे ना, स्ट्रिप ऑन. अब तो फैशन है वही पहनना, मैंने उसको लोफर शूज कहते थे, तो वो पहनना मना था स्कूल में. कैंचियां भी निकली हैं स्कूल में, जब आज फिल्म आई है बेल बॉटम, लेकिन एक जमाने में ये प्रकोप था हमारे लिए, क्योंकि अगर बेल बॉटम पहन कर कोई स्कूल में आ जाए तो पहले तो वो एक दिन मैंने सबको बचा दिया था, क्योंकि मैं भी पहना हुआ था. उन्होंने बाद में मुझसे बोला, सॉरी अपनी बात कर रहा हूं, कि तुम्हारे लिए आज मैं कैंची नहीं चला पाया. स्कूल अपॉइंटमेंट अगर बेल बॉटम पहन कर आएगा, बाकियों को मैं क्या बताऊंगा. तो ये मैंने सबको बचा दिया था. आप प्लीज जानिए कि उस दिन अगर कोई बचा हो, मेरी वजह से बचा था, क्योंकि मैं भी बेल बॉटम पहन के आया था. लेकिन कटे हुए बेल बॉटम हमारे बहुत दोस्तों ने देखे हैं. अनूप शर्मा सर हिला रहे हैं, मेरे को यहाँ पे दिख रहा है, शायद उनका बेल बॉटम भी कटा होगा. तो लेकिन जो कंदर्प मोदी ने एक्सेंट की बात की है, छाया जी के बड़े सारे एक्सेंट्स थे. प्यार का एक्सेंट, गुस्से का एक्सेंट, धीरज का एक्सेंट, और एक बड़ा खतरनाक एक्सेंट था उनका, जो टीचर्स के लिए ज्यादा खतरनाक था, बच्चों के लिए कम. वो एक्सेंट का नाम था मैं करके दिखाता हूं. ये जो एक्सेंट था उनका, मैं करके दिखाता हूं, और एक उन्होंने क्या नहीं करके दिखाया, कोहनी के बल एनसीसी में चल के दिखा दिया, बच्चों के साथ रेस करके दिखा दिया, रोप क्लाइंबिंग करके दिखा दिया, गोली चला के दिखा दिया। एनसीसी के कमांडर तो अपने जमाने में थे ही वो। तो रावत सर हमारे आर्मी के जब कमांडर थे, नेगी जी थे हमारे उस टाइम नेवल कमांडर, एंड रावत सर हमें जब कहते थे ना सावधान विश्राम, तो सब सावधान विश्राम जानते हैं हमारे प्रिय रावत सर का। तो वो कहते थे यू विल नॉट मूव इवन इफ अ लायन गोज थ्रू यू। हमें अब पता है वो किस लायन की बात करते थे। ऑफिस में जो लायन बैठे हैं ना प्रिंसिपल के ऑफिस में, वो अगर पहुंच जाए तो सब हिल जाता था। एनीवे, बिंदु महेश्वरी, हेमंत गुलाटी 1991, रीना, आकाश शर्मा, नितेश धवन 1998, 89 होगा जरूर, राइट नितेश? Alana Sawant 1980, I hope I pronounced the name right. Pooja Shivam Jaitley 1994, Rajiv Gupta, my old school friend from 1976, Neelja Narang 1984, Jaspreet Sareen 1984। आप लोगों ने भी अपनी श्रद्धांजलियां दी हैं छोटे छोटे लाइनों में। मैंने इसलिए सोचा कि आप सबको भी थैंक यू बोलना बहुत जरूरी है, और ये थैंक यू छाया परिवार की तरफ से है, छाया जी की तरफ से है, तो है ना हमारे बीच में। पृथ्वीराज सिंह सिसोदिया 1985, during his time every student was given all round development with focus on academics too. Well, Pithiraj, I'll have to talk with you very seriously. Our school's motto, Amritam tu Vidya. Amritam tu Vidya. But he baat sahi hai. All round development was the focus of Dr. Chaya. We have people who will talk about it in more detail than I would be knowing. Amritam tu Vidya was imparted in the best way possible under his guidance. Amritam tu Vidya. Immortality through education. Amrit. Nectar to hai, but the nectar of immortality. He trusted us. Very important point Prithviraj has brought out. He trusted us, like letting us go out to sell raffle tickets and bricks to raise funds for the school. What a time that was. What a time that was. The experience, it was heartbreaking, and so many other things we did. I'm sure I would request Dr. Ramji, President, when he speaks, to bring up that wonderful moment in our lives. And yes, Prithviraj remembers this. Prithviraj, I have to now check whether how really perfect you are now in English, because he remembered that, and I also remember after he told me a fine of 10 paise was imposed if you speak English, not if you don't speak English and you speak any other language in the school. So that fine of 10 paise was there, and 10 paise was a lot of time, a lot of money there, and because at best we had only 30 paisa, 40 paisa, maybe 50. That pastry I don't think cost us more than 30 paisa or so. So if 50 was enough to get by the day, so a fine of 10 paisa, it had two benefits, I think, Prithviraj. It kept many people quiet, used to talk otherwise, and of course, it did drive in. I still remember it driving in the fact that English is the transactional language, is the hard reality you have to face outside. A Bharti Vidya Bhavan student has to be grounded in heritage, but it doesn't mean that you have to be away from the goodness which is there in English. And so he actually, हम बहुत हिंदी बोलते थे और ज़्यादा बोलते थे हिंदी, तो मैदान खेल के मैदान में भी बड़ी मुश्किल होती थी फिर अंग्रेजी में एक दूसरे को डांटना। मैं तो सॉफ्ट वर्ड यूज कर रहा हूँ। So there was a one of a kind movement which he talks of. Dr. Chaya को जब ट्रांसफर किया गया तो जब मूवमेंट हुआ स्टूडेंट्स का, उसका जिक्र यहाँ पर उन्होंने किया है. It was big news all over the city. Again, a very unique thing in which the students rallied to keep the principal. We want him. Anjuman Saxena, 1984, also talks of this same incident. Our Princey, she says, 1984 Anjuman Saxena was special, and that's why when he was being transferred from BVB, Delhi में सामने लिया था इसको, teachers and students sat on an indefinite strike and we won. I remember when we walked When he walked the corridors of our school, there would be pin drop silence all around. He was someone who was feared and revered at the same time. देखिए, feared and revered, भगवान थे तो feared and revered तो दोनों होंगे at the same time. So ये मूवमेंट की बात यहाँ पर जो अंजुमन ने भी किया है, अंजुमन है हमारे साथ आज, आपको पता है अंजुमन सक्सेना है। अंजुमन बहुत खूबसूरत गाती हैं। अंजुमन को आपने टीवी पर भी देखा होगा, काफी सारे सीरियल्स कर चुकी हैं वो जो सास बनती हैं वो जो सीरियल्स में, तो लेकिन वैसे अच्छी हैं बहुत। और अंजुमन बहुत म्यूजिक की स्टूडेंट रही हैं। अंजुमन बहुत अच्छे प्रोग्राम्स प्रोफेशनली वो उन्होंने किया है। गीता दत्त नाइट्स, आई डोंट नो अदर वंस अंजुमन, बट बिफोर अंजुमन we have another lovely presentation from Shobha Bhardwaj, 1980, who is the airport director, who is now grounded with her tanpura playing, and एक भजन हम सुनेंगे उनसे। ये एक्चुअली जहाँ तक मेरे को पता है ये शोभा जी ये गुरु तेग बहादुर जी की कॉम्पोजिशन है, एक शब्द है, वो सुनेंगे। उसके बाद back to back my team will take you to Anjuman's presentation.
काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, सर्व निवासी सदा लेपा, सर्व निवासी सदा लेपा, तो ही संग समाई, तो ही संग समाई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, पुष्प मध्य जो वास बसत है, पुष्प मध्य जो वास बसत है, मुकुल माही जस छाही, मुकुल माही जस छाही, तैसे ही हरि बसे निरंतर, तैसे ही हरि बसे निरंतर, घट ही खोजो भाई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाही, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, भीतर बाहर एक ही जानो, भीतर बाहर एक ही जानो, सो गुरु ज्ञान बताई, सो गुरु ज्ञान बताई, जन नानक बिन आपा कीन्हे, जन नानक बिन आपा कीन्हे, मिटे ना भ्रम की काई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, सर्व निवासी सदा लेपा, सर्व निवासी सदा पार, तो ही संग समाई, तो ही संग समाई। काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई, काहे रे बन खोजन जाई।
थैंक यू वेरी मच श्याम। मुझे आज ये जो मौका मिला है सर के लिए ट्रिब्यूट देने का, मैं अपने आप को बहुत भाग्यशाली समझती हूँ। अभी शोभा जी ने इतना अच्छा भजन गाया, काहे रे बन खोजन जाए। मैं भारतीय विद्या भवन में आई हूँ जब मैं 8th स्टैंडर्ड में थी, एंड एक्चुअली टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ 8th स्टैंडर्ड। तो फरवरी में मैंने ज्वाइन किया था, जबकि अप्रैल में एग्ज़ाम होते थे। मेरा क्लास टेस्ट लिया था, उषा मैम ने इंग्लिश का लिया था, और सर ने भी चेक किया था कि मैं मैथ्स कैसा कर रही हूँ। एंड फॉर्चुनेटली मुझे स्कूल में एडमिशन मिला, और मैं अपने आप को बहुत बहुत भाग्यशाली समझती हूँ कि मुझे उनकी छत्र छाया मिली उन 4 सालों के लिए। जब मैंने देखा कि माहौल क्या है स्कूल में, छोटे थे हम, आज उसके बारे में बात कर सकते हैं, तब हमें नहीं पता था कि ये क्या माहौल है, लेकिन बहुत कुछ करने को मिला। मेरे ख्याल से मेरा ज़्यादातर वक्त म्यूज़िक रूम में ही बीतता था, तिवारी जी मैम के पास। और मुझे नहीं लगता कि ऐसी असेंबली किसी और स्कूल में हुआ करती थी जैसे कि हमारे स्कूल में होती थी। हम भजन गाते थे, और मार्च पास्ट के लिए हम लोग पेट्रियाटिक सॉन्ग्स गाते थे। प्लस पूरे साल कल्चरल एक्टिविटीज़ जो हुआ करती थी स्कूल में, मेरे ख्याल से वो सब सर की ही देन थी, और उन्हीं की विजन थी, जिसकी वजह से हमको इतना कुछ सीखने का मौका मिला। और आज मैं जो कुछ कर रही हूँ, मैं अगर गा रही हूँ या मैं एक्टिंग कर रही हूँ, मुझे लगता है ये नर्चरिंग हमारी सारी इसी स्कूल की देन है, भारतीय विद्या भवन की देन है, और अपने आप को बहुत बहुत फॉर्चुनेट समझती हूँ मैं। हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा लॉस है, लेकिन सर का आशीर्वाद तो हम लोगों के साथ हमेशा रहेगा। सर गांधी फिलॉसफी में बहुत बिलीव करते थे, इसलिए हम लोग हमेशा अलग अलग जगहों पे जाते थे। क्वाइट में विज्ञान भवन जा रहे हैं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्लब जा रहे हैं, गांधी स्मृति जाते थे, और हम लोग भजन गाते थे। और मुझे पता है कि उनको, मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है, पता नहीं है, बट ऐसा लगता है कि उनको वैष्णव जन बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद था। तो मैं आज वही भजन, क्योंकि हम स्कूल में भी बहुत गाया करते थे, एक वो भजन मैं यहाँ पे एज अ ट्रिब्यूट पेश कर रही हूँ। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कही जी, पीर पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कही जी, पीर पराई जाने रे। पर दुखी उपकार करे तोए, पर दुखी उपकार करे तोए, मन अभिमान ना आने रे।
Thank you, Anjuman. This was beautiful. Sorry for that little, I think some of you must have experienced that little technical stutter which always happens. I have yet to come across an internet presentation which doesn't really face that. But then if we are not on the net, then how will we link up with the hundreds and hundreds whom we really can't have in Delhi? So it's a good enough price to pay, but an apology to Anjuman. But देखो भगवान की कृपा, छाया जी की कृपा, गाने के समय तुम्हारी आवाज बिल्कुल, it was absolutely crystal clear, and we understood. We could make out what you were saying. So जैसे यहाँ पे लैग हुआ ना, थोड़ा सा हमारा भी टाइम का लैग चल रहा है, लेकिन जाने देते हैं, आज तक दिन छाया जी का है. श्रीजेश शंकर, ये मेरे पास एक कुछ और है यहाँ पर. मैं श्रीजेश शंकर, मिसेस शंकर सन, आई थिंक 1990, yes, 1995. छाया जी, my school principal by the day and neighbor by the evening. बताओ, फिर भी मेरी पढ़ भी मेरा, क्या बात है. So छाया जी, my school principal by the day and neighbor by the evening. Now I think he loves food. I will try to recapture, and this is for the family, for Ba, who's he watching, and the other all the daughters of Dr. Chaya. I will try to recapture some of his non-principal moments. I think every moment of Chayaji was a principal moment, but still, I know what he means to say here, by his non-principal moments. Okay, so I will try to recapture some of his non-principal moments. ट्रेडिशनल झूला, उसको श्रीजेश को झूला बहुत याद आ रहा है, जिस पर जब वो जाता था और छाया जी और मिसेस छाया बैठी होती थी. और नॉन प्रिंसिपल मोमेंट में, आप ध्यान रखिएगा इसको, नॉन प्रिंसिपल मोमेंट में वो जब स्विंग करते थे उस झूले पे, उसको श्रीजेश इज टॉकिंग ऑफ दैट. इट्स अ वंडरफुल मेमोरी, श्रीजेश. या यू आर लकी. या ही इंट्रोड्यूस्ड मी टू सो मेनी गुजराती स्नैक्स, खाकड़ा, फाफड़ा, हंडुआ, many of them, Dabeli, and we'll discuss that later. The Chaya family will tell us that. He introduced me to so many Gujarati snacks, and he loved the idli, dosa, and sambar my mom, P. Shankar, made. कहा था शुरू में मैंने, चित भी मेरी पट भी मेरा, श्रीजेश शंकर का. 1995, श्रीजेश, yeah. One of his daughter's wedding reception was on the school campus. Then he handed me my first box of imported chocolates. मैंने शुरू में कहा था खाने पीने का बहुत शौकीन है हमारा श्रीजेश. He handed me my first box of foreign chocolates. India was still in the 5-star era. That I've never forgotten. That's what he says. You don't forget these small things. You know, that is what is life. Also, like many of us, I used to wonder, but I never asked him. Shrijay said that whether he had one set of white outfit or multiple sets. It's a question which I never asked him. Now, that is a question which, yes. My pranams, I can see Mrs. Chaya there. My pranams. And so ये question आप आंसर जरूर करिएगा, लेकिन मैं कह देता हूँ कि मेरा आंसर इसका क्या है. मातंगी, I can see, Jalpa, I can see. Yeah, wonderful to have you all here. I think, you know, he was a physics teacher, right? So physics में जब हम white की बात करते हैं, तो मैं तो history का छात्र हूँ, लेकिन इतना मुझे जरूर पता है कि उस रंग के अंदर 7 रंग होते हैं, और जब वो 7 रंग बहुत तेजी से, बड़ी तेज रफ्तार से चलते हैं, जैसे कि डॉक्टर छाया हमेशा चलते थे. He had a pace. So when those 7 colors of the Vibgyor pick up space, you see white, and not many people can show it. That was the white of Chaya ji. All the colors were there in him. All the colors, you know, and that looks white. Ek aur baat, white. I'm sure he had many sets of white, and he chose white. White is a color of, you know, the swan of Saraswati. White. The vehicle of knowledge is white. So वो सफेद रंग वो था. लेकिन बहुत लोगों ने यहाँ बात की है कि छाया जी इन व्हाइट, छाया जी इन व्हाइट, छाया जी इन व्हाइट. सैंडल भी व्हाइट थे, बिल्कुल सही बात है. So या मुझे तो याद है. So ये व्हाइट वो व्हाइट था, ज्ञान का व्हाइट था. ये ज्ञान का व्हाइट, the symbol white, you know, and the swan. He was like the swan himself. The swan is the vehicle of Saraswati because it is believed in our scriptures that the swan can separate milk from water. The power of discrimination. That was what Chaya ji, that is why I can tell you today, Shrijesh, why Chaya ji was always dressed in white. Ashok Kamat, 1984. I still remember my admission interview in May, June 1977. Ashok, he was nervously tried to recite a poem of mine, stumbling through the verses, but encouraged by Dr. Chaya to keep continuing. He left an indelible impression on me and shaped the human being that I am today. Yes, Ashok, everyone would agree with you that he did really shape all of us. Poonam Anand, 1985, to serve with love. और serve with love कहने से हमको सिडनी पॉइटियर याद आते हैं, और सिडनी पॉइटियर से क्या कम थे हमारे डॉक्टर एमपी छाया। वैसे ही स्टाइल था उनका भी, फिल्म स्टार हो सकते थे, लेकिन उन्होंने शिक्षा में रहने की शायद स्टेट इन एजुकेशन। गुड फॉर अस ही डिड दैट। सो टू सर्व विथ लव, Chaya sir, a man of steel with a heart pure as gold, and we were in awe of him, me and my siblings. After 25 years of passing from the school, I got the chance to meet him, and he was just the same princey as we always knew him to be. खुशबू गुप्ता, खुशबू बहुत छोटी थी। अब ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है कि कैसे एक इंसान कुछ झलकों में अपनी छाप छोड़ जाता है दूसरे पर। यही उस इंसान की महानता का एक पहचान है उसकी। ये खुशबू गुप्ता writes, I only have a glimpse of you. I was very small, probably in class 1, 6 years old or something, when you left BVB, but I still remember your smiling, charming face greeting everyone. You had a beautiful personality. Lovely, Shradhanjali. खुशबू बिल्कुल बिल्कुल वैसा ही है। एक छोटी सी बच्ची जिसको देखो कितनी खूबसूरती से डॉक्टर छाया याद है उसको। छाप छोड़ जाते थे, जहां जाते थे छाया छोड़ जाते थे, अपनी छाया छोड़ जाते थे। वीरेन वैष्णवी, dear sir, you lit a light in my life as a kid and made me into who I am today. Viren Vaishnavi, this came in later, I think. The teachings in some of your classes that I was fortunate to attend, the morning prayers, starting with your children. वो children मैं जिंदगी में नहीं कोशिश करूंगा तब भी नहीं कह पाऊंगा, कोई नहीं कह पाएगा उसको। वो जो एक्सेंट में वो जो children कहते थे, वो You were and are and will remain my param guru, sir. You know, ये जो children शब्द है हमारे जो नाट्य शास्त्र में है कि नवरस है। छाया सर जब children कहते थे वो नवरस के आगे था, पता नहीं उसमें कोई कभी रस ही नहीं था। एंड उस स्कूल में जब जो पुरानी बिल्डिंग थी वहां पर आवाज बड़ी खूबसूरती से गूंजती थी। आपने सुना एक कॉरिडोर में चिल्ड्रन, दूसरे शायद जो बंदा नीचे खड़ा है लाइब्रेरी वाले कॉरिडोर में, वो सोच रहा है आवाज किधर से रही है, मैं जाऊं किस तरफ। और होता ये था जो दुष्ट बच्चे होते थे वो घूम फिर के जहां से भी पाए पहुंचे छाया साहब के सामने पहुंचते थे। तो ये चिल्ड्रन, ये तो एक इट्स अ definitive word. Everyone says children, but I never heard it being said like that. And if you are a little angry, then you add now to it. Now children. So, Geeta Gambhir, to serve with love. And Dr. N.P. Chaya was a guru in the true sense of the word. He turned, मेरी बात नहीं कर रही है ये, he turned monkeys into humans. He did. Believe me, he did. He did turn monkeys into humans. Huh? So, he guided us to become good human beings. You know, you were right. You know, monkey को क्या कहते हैं संस्कृत में? वानर. The word vanar, if you do Sanjay Vichhed in Sanskrit, it means like man. Yeah, it is actually the closest you can translate it. Va, see there, nar. Vanar. Vanar. अरे डॉक्टर छाया ने तो नर को नारायण बना दिया। गुरु के मंत्र, गुरु के बोल होते ही ऐसे हैं। तभी तो किसी ने कहा है, बोल गुरु के मंत्र समाना, पूजन विधि ये जिसने जाना, हर पूजा का फल वो पाए, नर वो नारायण हो जाए। यही करते थे। अभी आप you can link it now with Purnamada Purnamidam. From the infinite man gave his life to creating infinity in students across the country. Lalita Swami, 1976. So I think the school name was different, Lalita. Yes. So when 1976, someone would know here. When I sought admission in the school in May 1970, the written test was in the classroom right next to his room. We had to study in the classroom right next to his room. It was terrifying. 7th standard used to be there. But the only good thing was that the cafeteria was right next to us. So, and I felt nervous. And there were a few others too. And he kept coming to check on us. He used to come and check. And I was giving this entrance test in the exams. At the end of it, he met me and said, don't worry. If your destiny brought you here, you will study here. This is another aspect of Dr. Chaya. People. There are two kinds of people. Those who say things without really, being committed to what they're saying. And the other spectrum of people is very rare in Dr. Chaya. जैसे जो एक शब्द भी जो बोलते हैं, वो विश्वास के आधार पर, it comes from the bosom of faith and belief. Even the most casual statement anywhere, not just in a school, not just in your workplace. It is the value of the word, which is so beautifully written in our Upanishads, in Chandogya Upanishad. And of course, it is the basis, one of the greatest things in the Bible. In the beginning, there was a word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. Pran jai par vachan na jai, ye vachan jo hai, ye. So this line actually is reflective of that. Chaya ji jo bhi bolte the, wo ek patthar ki lakeer hoti thi. Altu-faltu baat nahi. Lalita passed out in 1976 and he got the Kulpati's gold medal. And when she was being given the medal, Chaya ji since told her that, I told you, I'm happy that you came here. Okay, so that's his memory, Taposh, I can say that in a Bengali accent, otherwise we Tapas Banerjee. The Taposh Banerjee 1980 batch. Taposh Banerjee says, such an accomplished person, bringing out the character of Dr. Chaya. All these. Such an accomplished person, he had no fear. He was naturally humble and compassionate towards the one needing guidance and support. When I lost my dad just after school, he not only waived off my younger brother's school fee, but also gave us both emotional support. He understood what we were going through and engaged with us at a personal level. His life is a lesson for everyone. Absolutely right, Taposh. Absolutely right. Ranak Sitalwad, Ranak Shah. So she must have been Ranak Shah earlier. Your year is not given here. In 1983, we shifted from Ahmedabad to Delhi. I used to be a topper in my school, but the fact that I studied Gujarati board, none of the leading schools of Delhi gave me admission in class 8, and I wanted to repeat. And they wanted me to repeat class 7, but this man had the faith in me. And my guardian angel, she calls, put his hand on my head and blessed me and said, you are in. I don't expect you to top in the first, because the first semester is already gone, but you must score a distinction. The distinction was scored. Vinda Kadiali, 1980. He was an inspiring leader. His simplicity was legendary, including his gleaming white uniform. Now, see, there's the first person who's now used the word uniform for Chaya ji. But what she means is that wonderful white dress. He strove for excellence. He was generous. I have had food in his house at least twice when I missed the school bus. And when I was crying after that. He took me to his house and he and his wife fed me and put me on a scooter with a helper from the school to take me home. She has used a very important word here for Chaya ji. He was optimistic about our school, about us and our country. Yes, our country. He gave us the pride of being Indian. I could go on, but now we have a wonderful AV which has been put together by the team here. And let us relive some lovely images. And I'm handing it over to the control room for the audio visual.
Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Ve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guru Ve Namaha.
बचपन था कठिन, पढ़ाई में थी लगन, शिक्षा में उत्तम, हर पहलू में प्रथम। अध्यापक से प्रधानाचार्य, भवन का संभाला प्रशासन कार्य। कड़क अनुशासन, सरल स्वभाव, श्वेत वस्त्र धारण हर किसी पर हुआ प्रभाव। अनुशासनहीनता नहीं पसंद कभी, दंडित किया उसे बड़ी सभा में तभी। हर छात्र पे करें अटूट विश्वास, पाठ्यक्रम में रहें सब आगे करके कड़ा परिश्रम। नृत्य नाट्य खेलकूद एनसीसी भरपूर, सब छात्र और छात्राओं का समग्र विकास संपूर्ण।
I would say that education is a continuous process. It's not a process you were there from KG to class 12, 14 years work. No. It's a work, ongoing work, and that ongoing work has helped you where you are today. So, my dear friends, education is not a one-way process. It's a two-way process. One side, the students, another side, the teacher. And then when we have a dialogue between us, we go ahead very fast. Now, I'm going to complete next month 86. My process of growing myself, learning myself, still continuing. Don't think that once we are, whichever profession we are, don't think that we are at the top and so I have nothing to learn. Till our last breath, my dear children, my dear friends, you kindly see that you continue to grow and don't stop anywhere that you are now reached the highest. It will never come. So my first advice to you, wherever you are working, please see that you continue growing. Don't stop. Don't think that you are saturated at that place. I'm quite sure that once you sit down together and talk about the school, please see that you remain attached with our school, and wherever you are, kindly see that you can help the school. My last request to you is kindly take one child as your own child in giving education, so that those who cannot afford can have good education through you. God bless you.
Very important words, lovely images. We must follow the path that Dr. Chaya has asked us to, the last few statements which were there, so important, and especially the last one about one child. I'm sure we will be talking about that more later in this program. एजुकेशन की बात कर रहे थे वो, तो अब आइए ना हमारे कुछ टीचर्स की जो साइटेशन, जो श्रद्धांजलि उन्होंने दिया है. Allow me to read some of them, and I am not, all my teachers, I'm not going by any seniority or anything here, sir and ma'am. I'm just going by the way it is, so please don't, I know you won't. So the first one here, I have Dr. Usha Ram, and I have edited some of them because I would love to incorporate everyone here. Sometimes it becomes difficult. Dr. Usha Ram, we all know her, what all she has done and where all she has taught, and she, some of us have seen her from the day one when she came to this school, and a shishya of, one of the shishyas of Dr. Chaya. Sometimes it becomes difficult for a shishya to write about her guru and also whom she adores. Quite right. Chaya ji has been my mentor, guide, and above all, a father figure. I was lucky to learn and grow up as a teacher, as an educator, as an administrator under his guidance and inspiration. His humility, Gandhian philosophy, and above all, his inclusive approach in education was commendable. He was the first principal in Delhi schools to start special education center, counseling room, CCE pattern, amongst other interventions. My regular interaction with Sir came about with him being a part of all the managing committees of the schools I headed. Sir, you will always remain with us. That was Dr. Usha Ram's Shradhanjali. The bigger part, the bigger one is on the website. Please go and have a look at it. Murti Kala Adhyapak hamare bahut priya. N.S. Rana ji, former, who's we used to call it clay modeling. It's sculptor. So Rana ji, of course, graduated our concept from clay modeling to sculpture. मैं आपको श्रद्धा सुमन अर्पित करता हूं. आपने जो खुशबू फैलाई वो मिट नहीं सकती. आपने जो मार्ग दिखाया वो भूल नहीं सकते. सबकी झोली भरने वाले एक सच्चे मसीहा. आपने भारतीय विद्या भवन को जितना दिया उतनी तो हम गिनती भी न कर पाए. आपको हमारा कोटि कोटि प्रणाम. That is Sri N.S. Rana, the sculpture teacher which we had, and so much he did in the school. Rajan Dhingra ji, beloved Rajan Dhingra ji, he has also been officiating principal of the school, and of course in so many other capacities, and he was very close to us in the forming of the Bhavanites, and a link there. Thank you, sir, for that. Dr. Chaya was an eminent educationist, a humble person, and the friendliest principal Bhavan ever had. Dhingra ji has worked very closely with Chaya ji. His tenure in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's Delhi Kendra was the golden era in the history of Bhavan. Whatever reforms are being introduced in the educational field today, Dr. Chaya thought these out long back during his time. He created opportunities and developed ways to train teachers to be leaders. It was Rajan Dhingra ji, Rekha Sharma ji, our beloved Rekha Sharma ji, ex-principal, and my favorite, she was my class teacher. Koti Koti Naman to my godfather Chaya ji, who chiseled and churned me into a finer human being. Vivid remembrance of my first meeting with the magnificent personality in 1976. What a charisma that left everybody spellbound, right? Simple living, high thinking, honesty personified, always led from the front. A great man who wiped many a tear, injected life and confidence to bounce back. I remember his pleasant voice on telephone when he congratulated and blessed me on principalhoods. It was the outcome of your churning, sir. That is what she says very humbly. Srimati Sarita Saxena ji. एक छोटी सी कविता उन्होंने भेजी है. मैंने उसको और छोटा मुझे करना पड़ा है. मैम, अपॉलॉजीज. बहुत खूबसूरत कविता है. आप जाके उसको पढ़िएगा जरूर. इट्स अ लवली पोएम. मैंने एक हिस्सा लिया है उसका. आज के इस क्षण हम तुम्हें याद कर रहे हैं अपने स्मृति कोश के चित्रों में. हमारा आंगन, हमारी दुनिया तुम्हारी सुवास से सुवासित रहा. मन तो टूटता है इस आलोक, इस आत्मीय वृत्त और इस सुवास का विदा देते हुए, किंतु तुम्हारी ये अपरिमित गंध अन्य दिशांतरों तक फैलेगी. ये संतुष्टि भाव हमारे भीतर की रिक्तता को भरता रहेगा. श्रीमती सरिता सक्सेना जी. विभा कोहली जी. Srimati Vibha Kohli, she retired as vice principal in 2020. Dr. M.P. Chaya, a saint in white, was the most beloved principal of Mehta Vidyalaya, a true educationist and a role model. He nurtured everyone with deep love and care. He built the Bhavan's fraternity into a strong community, a visionary and a man ahead of his times. He implemented innumerable new practices in Bhavan that were instrumental in its growth. On all special occasions of the school, he was accompanied by his doting wife, Srimati Sridevi Chaya ji. Bilkul sahi. You know, it is Mrs. Chaya's presence all the time in the school when we were staying there. So, जो होता है ना पुराना कंसेप्ट है हमारे आश्रम का, जहाँ पे गुरु है और गुरु माँ है, जो गुरु शिष्य परंपरा का जो एक बेसिस है, it was actually Mrs. Chaya's presence amongst us which used to give this whole environment to the school of Guru and Guru Ma in an ashram. Manjula Gupta ji, former teacher. Dr. M.P. Chaya was a magnanimous personality. It is very difficult to describe such a dynamic person in a few words. He set his life as an example. Whoever came in contact with him certainly went back enriched. Such was his aura. I will always be grateful to you for enlightening my path towards becoming a conscientious teacher. I've included one more here, which is on behalf of our very dear Shri G.S. Rawatji, his sons, Shradhanjali here. So, my father, Shri G.S. Rawat, head of the Department of Physical Education at Delhi Center, was guided and nurtured by you, sir. Our entire family is always grateful to you. Your leadership and humane qualities. You were and are the best principal any staff member or student could have. I don't know if I have missed something, but we are going to now move on after these Shradhanjalis to we're going to hear some very august speakers now. And I have lost my pages, so we're going to hear, right, Rajesh Mishra ji is going to address on behalf of the school of the Delhi Kendra. Actually, he's the registrar of the BVB Delhi Kendra. And will be then addressed by Srimati Dr. Anju Tandonji, Principal BVB's Mehta Vidyalaya, and Dr. Siddharth Ramji, our very own Siddharth Ramji. He is Director, Professor of Pediatrics and Neonatology at the Maulana Azad Medical College and also the former Dean of Maulana Azad Medical College. These three are going to come now after I move out.
आप सभी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आज आप अपने गुरु जिन्होंने आपको दिशा प्रदान की और जिन्होंने आपको हमेशा प्रेरित किया, उनके सम्मान में एकत्रित हुए हैं। और जो मैंने सुना तो मुझे एहसास हुआ कि ही वाज ए ग्रेट पर्सन ऑल टुगेदर and what I understand that Bharati Vidya Bhavan's Delhi Kendra is grateful for the benign presence of Dr. Chaya. Our director is not in a position to speak because he is having some problem with his throat. So he has asked me to attend this gathering and also convey a message to everybody. But I understand that all the students and the teacher fraternity was his family, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Banerjee, that along with the Guruji, there was a Guru Ma, and that Guru Ma, you always felt like that you are having education in a Gurukul. I salute to all. I'm just reading over the message on behalf of Delhi Kendra, showing gratitude to Dr. Chaya in bringing up a renowned institution called Mehta Vidyalaya. Dr. Chaya was an amazing leader and visionary. He was known to have brought about many inclusive and student-centric practices in Mehta Vidyalaya. His close proximity with the NCERT had got him exposed to many experiments and innovation in the field of education. He was not only an innovative academician, but also an able administrator, as rightly pointed out by majority of the students who were just remembering him. At Bhavan, he brought many changes, including that 3-tier system of monitorship, house system, and prefectorial system. A disciplinarian and a principal par excellence, he always had the welfare of his students topmost in his mind. He believed in developing leaders of future, and I am witnessing that. Dr. Chaya devoted his entire lifetime for learning. As I have seen the last glimpse of his speech to the students of Bharati Vidya Bhavan's Mehta Vidyalaya, that is 35th reunion of 1985 batch, and continued his innovative work in the field of education. His dedicated service for more than 7 decades had been instrumental in bringing significant impact on educational reforms in general and in our institution Delhi Kendra and Mehta Vidyalaya in particular. His selfless service in the field of education has inspired all of us and had been a guiding light to many, which is still with us. We lost a great leader and person, but his legacy lives among the staff he led, the student and alumni whose life he impacted. Let us pray that his soul rests in the peace. Thank you very much.
May I request Dr. Anju Tandon to kindly say some words for Dr. Chaya?
Yes, thank you. First of all, my apologies that my camera is not switching on in my laptop in spite of all my efforts. So I have done logged from 2 devices, and the laptop as well as my mobile, and trying to speak. Please excuse me if there is another technical glitch. Namaskar and pranams to all. Dr. Mandlik Pradre Chaya, former director and principal, Bharati Vidya Bhavan Mehta Vidyalaya, former chairperson and pioneer life member in PSC, a very caring husband to Mrs. Sridevi Chaya, and a father of 5 daughters, a great mentor to countless educators and students, left for heavenly abode on 24th August 21 after a very fulfilling life, attaining the age of 92 years. Dr. Chaya, who was an endearing inspiration to many, left a huge void behind him. He was an educationist par excellence who touched and impacted thousands of lives. On behalf of Bharati Vidya Bhavan Mehta Vidyalaya, I pay my rich tributes to Dr. Chaya and pray that he finds place in the lotus feet of God and continue to shower his blessings from up there. Many a times I had opportunity to interact with Dr. Chaya when he came to Bhavans. Dr. Chaya was an enterprising and a born leader who took over as the principal of Mothers International School in 1967. the National Council of Education and Research and Training, NCERT, being in the close proximity of Mothers International School, was here that his passion and his creativity got wings, and he got the opportunity to interact with the educationists across the world. NCERT adopted Mothers International as their laboratory, and soon many innovations were launched under the dynamic leadership of Dr. Chaya. In 1969, he was appointed the principal at the residential school of Bhavans Vadodara. I hope I'm audible because there is some technical glitch and I'm experiencing that. I hope, Mr. Manish, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay.
You can keep your video off. That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you. So in 1969, he was appointed the principal of the residential school of Bhavans Vadodara. However, shortly after, he was asked to take over the charge of Bharati Vidya Bhavan Mehta Vidyalaya in New Delhi in 1969 itself. Mehta Vidyalaya, I'm told, reached its pinnacles of glory under his exemplary leadership. A veteran educationist and an avid sportsman, he was instrumental in introducing many best practices in the school. He introduced yoga, scouts and guides, NCC, teachers training programs, and many such innovative practices that led the school to its crowning glory. The period was rightfully called the golden era of Bharati Vidya Bhavan Mehta Vidyalaya, as Dr. Chaya led from front as director principal of the school. Dr. Chaya understood that the seeds that he was sowing were going to be the fruit-bearing trees of tomorrow, who will quench the spiritual, mental, physical thirst of millions of people. Being a visionary principal of the school, he left no stone unturned to ensure that right values, attributes, and qualities of head, heart, and head are inculcated in the students of Mehta Vidyalaya, which are aligned to the true vision, mission, and philosophy of Bharati Vidya. Dr. Chaya always believed in collaborative practices, and he focused on strategic actions directed towards improvement in learning environment as a joint venture with CBSE, NCERT, and NPSC. Till today, we all follow the legacy set by Dr. Chaya. He was one of the founding members of National Progressive Schools Conference, and Bharati Vidya Bhavan Mehta Vidyalaya has always remained at the forefront in introducing innovations, meet challenges, and learn from each other. For his outstanding services, NPSC, that is National Progressive Schools Conference, awarded him with the Lifetime Award. He worked in the field of education for more than 7 decades. He not only served as school principal, but also he served as an advisor to Navodaya schools, Government of India. He was also a member of Governing Council of CBSE and Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan. Even though Dr. Chaya is physically no more with us, he has left behind an indelible... Hello. Even though Dr. Chaya is physically no more with us, he has left behind an indelible mark through his work and a legacy for all of us to follow. Dr. Chaya will always live in our hearts and will be remembered for his extraordinary leadership, for his far-sightedness, for his brilliance, and love for his students, for his outgoing nature and dedication to the family. I pray to Almighty that his good soul rest in peace and bliss. May God grant enough strength to his wife, Srimati Sridevi Chaya, and his family to bear this immense loss. Om Shanti.
Thank you, ma'am. May I request Dr. Siddharth Ramji, President Bhavan Knights Association, to say a few words.
Thank you, Manish, and thank you, Shyam. My pranams to Srimati Chaya ji and all his daughters. I had the privilege of studying with Rupangi till Chaya ji pushed me up one class higher through double promotion when the school shifted from one system of school education to the other. So it's good to see all of them online today after many, many years. You know, much has been said about Chaya ji's persona, and he was very, very unorthodox, as you realize, in the way he did things. He was unorthodox because he was quite ahead of his times. And this unorthodoxy, I think, began the day he joined the school. I do not know how many will recollect. I do recollect the very first day he joined school. It's etched in my memory as if it happened yesterday. You know, I had been in school since 1962, seen two principals, and they were more formal kind of people, suited most of the time. You know, Chaya ji's white attire and sandals was quite anathema to the way principals were supposed to be in those days. Anyway, I'm sure most of you remember that we had those classes on the top floor where Chaya ji's residence also was. And I very distinctly remember, and we had never had an introduction to Chaya ji as the principal. He introduced himself in a very unorthodox way. And, you know, senior students in those days were quite independent, and they were not quite amenable to discipline. It's quite common to have senior students walking along the corridors of the class during class time, and you can hear a noise. And suddenly, amongst all this background noise, everything became silent. I mean, we had never heard that silent, literally print off silence. And there was one booming voice reprimanding a set of students. We had a class there, and suddenly we picked out and saw the gentleman in white and had a couple of students standing outside the class and reprimanding them for not being in the class. None of us really knew who he was. It was only next day morning in the assembly when he was introduced. Well, we all already had an introduction of who he was. He put a stamp as to who he was and what he expected in the school. And of course, you know, his entire tenure there was a very unorthodox manner in which he taught. He believed that, you know, you don't learn education in the four walls of any classroom. You had to do it by doing, and that we all experienced. He would make sure that everything students had to do, you did by learning. He believed that leadership was important. He believed that team spirit was important, and he revamped the entire, you know, the house systems in the school. And one of the important things, you know, we talked about Chaya ji's and Mrs. Chaya's presence. You know, he tried to convert the school into a Gurukula system. You know, it was not a residential school. We were all day scholars, but yet, you know, it was the two of them actually imbibed that spirit and made this like a Gurukula, and where they were the father and mother figure. You know, somebody talked about funds for the new additional buildings in school, and I don't know how many would remember. I'm sure Chaya ji's daughters will remember We did that tattoo at the National Stadium, where we raised funds. And Chayaji had every bit of the very many sessions recorded in his old, I think it was a Grundig, old spool Grundig tape, in which he had every step, every beat recorded. And quite often we were practicing late in his house. And Mr. Chaya knew these little hungry kids were all the time there. And so we always had enough food to eat while we continued to practice. That was the love and affection that they had for us. And I still very distinctly remember that these rehearsals used to go quite into the late into the night, but Chayaji made sure that every child, including the girls, were personally dropped and escorted by some staff member to their homes. And till they had reached and he had not got information they're back, his day was not over. So that was how he looked at each one. He had, the immense talent ability to pick talent, and not only pick people who are good, but he knew how to tap potential of people who were quiet, reticent, not forthcoming, but he made sure they came through. Shyam talked about our moral science classes. When Chayaji came, it was quite evident that he had to balance. He knew Bhavan school is very different. He had to balance the modern ways of education with ensuring that the tradition, heritage, culture was not lost, and we are balanced in that. And we did almost every performance that happened. And I can tell you the school was very, very competent. We had all the talent that was required to bring about the performing arts, and I think we excelled in that. We also used to make all the props. I remember, I think it was Mr. Lal Singh, our carpenter, with the rest of the team, who would make every prop. Mr. Vaidhi Sharma would paint every design, and students participated in making this happen. And Chayaji wanted it to be realistic. I still remember, the Krishna Avatar became a brand value of Bhavan much later, and I think it happened not in the school, but I still remember that when we did it in the school, and when it was part of the old Bhavan's compound, the wall that separated, he had the sand dug to create the river, so that the realistic effect of crossing. So he wanted people and children to experience the reality of how it happened. He almost reminds me of what Al-Qazi used to do when he used to perform theater in the old fort of Delhi and bring realism. Chayaji was always there, as somebody said. So the other thing that I think he galvanized, which was quite not very much on, was getting the parents on board. I think he really rejuvenated the PTA, and he believed that unless he got the parents who were the ultimate stakeholders, if they had an interest in a child, it was not possible for us to do anything, because he believed that, as he often said, education was not what happened during school hours. Education is also what continues at home. And he wanted parents to understand that they had a responsibility to ensure those value systems that he and the teachers were trying to imbibe or instill into the students continued at home. Of course, as you already heard, he had the great capability of spotting and carving out excellence among his teaching staff. He also had the capacity to bring teachers. I still remember he had the capacity to attract, like a magnet, teachers from other schools and bring them on to Bhavan, so that they could all be part of this experimentation that he was doing. So the experiments that he started, this he told me many years later, after I had left school and I had become a trained medical teacher, and he said, you know, you were all the, in a way, I won't say guinea pigs, but we were all the the people with whom he experimented his entire ideas, because what began in Mothers International continued here. And I think he said that, you know, my entire educational experience and experiments happened in Bhavans. And I must say that we were very fortunate to be part of that immense transition. I remember him, of course, you know, we were always children. Maybe he's 50 years old or 60 years old, it doesn't matter. But Chaya ji, everybody was his children, and his love and affection that he's had, how he remembered people. He had an elephantine memory. He could remember everybody, good and the bad, and even the reticent ones. He remembered each one of them. And I must say that during more than 3.5 decades of my career as a medical teacher, and when I headed the institution, I always remember Chaya, because he instilled a great deal of value systems, not only what individuals should be, what you should be when you become a leader. And a leader who looked after his people. I remember even the staff, no matter what kind of staff they were, he would be personally involved to ensure all their personal problems were solved. He used to tell me sometimes that, you know, unless I take care of every member of my family, I cannot expect them to return their best for us. And so it's been a very great journey. I'm sure that we all remember him. I had the fortune of being with him for about 4 years of my school life, but I continued to interact with him. Many years later, I met him, and मेरे को याद नहीं है, मिसेस छाया को याद होगा कि हम चिन्मय मिशन दिल्ली में काफी साल पहले जब आप दोनों आए थे, I had the pleasure of seeing you. Even though I have never been personally in touch, but Chaya ji has always been in my memory because he has been one person who has really done what I did. So thank you so much, and I am very, very grateful for giving this opportunity. I remember with fond memories of all that you have done, and we're grateful to Chaya ji and the entire family for still holding us on. And I think the alumni are deeply indebted to the entire family for what Bhavan School has undergone. Thank you so much, and namaskar.
You ended on a perfect note there, Dr. Ramji, and the family is here, and I can see some of the faces there. I don't know if I'm not able to see some. Mrs. Chaya, Rupangi, I think I saw, and Amita, Jalpa also I saw, and Matangi. I hope I've got that in the right order. So, and we would hello Matangi there. I would love to now you people take over. Tell us about you know what to say. And your father, also your teacher, was husband and partner in life and work also. We know that. I've also met you at Chinmay Mission with my guru, and I must tell you, just 1 second, 1 minute, I'll take 2 things I forgot. One, it was Vrinda Kadiali mentioned. It's a very great thing which I'd never seen any principal doing, was washing toilets in the school. Another one I remember, once it was a house function, not my house function because I was in the audience, and we were looking for Chaya ji ki Chaya ji kahan hai, house function chal raha hai nahi hai. एक पठान बहुत देर से बैठे हुए थे, बिल्कुल फुल पठान, And after some time, after a long time, we got to know the Chaya ji himself had dressed as a Pathan, and he was also participating. And he was in the audience, he was wearing dark glasses. And that is the way he used to encourage us, being a part of the whole drama happening there, and he was there. So ऐसा ड्रामा शायद वो घर पे भी करते होंगे. So you can enlighten us on that. Please take over.
श्याम भाई, बहुत समय हम आगे निकल गए हैं, तो सीधा हम बस परिवार की तरफ चलें.
बस वही तो कह रहा हूं.
हमारे बीच में सभी बेटियां हैं, तो आप लोग अब बताएं, पहले बा से शुरू करें या कोई और बेटी पहले बोलना चाहती है? हम आपको सुनने के लिए उत्सुक हैं.
I will speak. I'm deeply touched by the love and respect that you have for my dad. He has indeed impacted and touched the lives and minds of hundreds of his students. To us 5 siblings, he was indeed a very loving and also, as everybody said, very strict dad. I would like to share one of many innumerable incidents that has impacted my life. I am Tvisha, incidentally, his eldest daughter. Though I wasn't a Bhavanite, but I studied under his leadership in Mothers International School. And one on whom the maximum experiments on parenting were carried out. But on a more serious note, when we shifted from Rajkot to Delhi, I was in grade 9th, and it was tough for me in the science stream because I shifted from the very easy SSC board to the really tough higher secondary board of the 70s, which was still grade 11, but had all the 3-year courses in the final board exams. Now, just a day before my final physics board exam, my dad happened to ask me a few questions, and he realized immediately that I knew absolutely nothing and would surely fail. So completely unfazed, he just sat me down with my 3-year course of 2 huge, thick, fat physics books. And he just started talking. He put aside everything on his plate, and he started talking physics to me from early morning till late into the night. The result being, I got a distinction in physics, but he completely lost his voice for the next few days. That was how good a teacher and, of course, father he was. Love you, Dad, forever and more. And I know that you will still continue to guide us with the legacy of kindness, love, and the principles by which you lived your life. Thank you.
बहुत शुक्रिया, Tvisha.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry, I'm Rupangi. I'm so sorry. The one Papa introduced as number 2 in the family. I graduated from Bhavans in 1974. Unlike my elder sister Tvisha, I was never really coached by Papa in physics, and so it was never my favorite subject. However, both Papa and Mummy were the best life coaches who taught us true values in life by example, as you've all said today. Always seeing the good in others, being truthful, valuing hard work and dignity of labor, the importance of family, being independent and honest to yourself, and kindness and generosity towards others. A very specific anecdote that I cannot forget when I was maybe in 8th or 9th grade. Although I was generally the goody two-shoes of the family, I did have a naughty streak. One evening, I took my 2 younger sisters, Matangi and Jalpa, who must have been around 4 or 7 years at that time, into the bedroom, locked the room from inside, shut the lights, let loose my wild hair, and pretended to be a witch and scared them silly. Finally, when Papa heard what had happened, he did not get mad at me, nor did he raise his voice at me. Instead, he calmly told me that the right punishment for me would be to walk from our house in the night through the double dark corridors of the Bhavan school, passing the open terrace of which I was petrified of, and go to the biology lab at the end of the corridor and touch the human skeleton hanging there in the biology lab. Of course, the very honest and naive soul that I was, I actually did what I was told, though there was nobody to check that I was doing that. So to this day, and especially as an adult, I appreciate how appropriate his punishment was for my action. And it really taught me an everlasting lesson. This is just one of many ways in which Papa worked his teachings and his magic, which you have all been a part of. For me, it has been amazing, awe-inspiring, extremely emotional, and very humbling to see the outpouring of genuine love, respect, and caring from thousands of individuals, family, students, teachers, colleagues, and others whose lives Papa has impacted in the last 70 plus years. I knew Papa was exceptional, but he truly was a legacy. Papa, I miss your bright smile and your twinkle in your eyes. You will always be with us. Love you so much.
I am the third, I'm Amita, and third of the 5 sisters. Being the middle sister, Papa used to call me the fulcrum of the family. When I think of Dad, I have this immense love, pride, and gratitude to have such wonderful parents. He was a great educationist, an excellent human being, and an amazing dad. He and Mom taught us by example to see the good in each person, to have complete trust and faith in people, and to serve selflessly. His most commonly uttered sentence to everyone till his last days was, "Let me know if I can be of any help to you," truly showing his innate nature of service for others. It is very seldom that a person so accomplished in his career can have such a great work-life balance. Despite his busy schedule, Papa had time for us, whether it was helping us in our studies, taking us on fun holidays, or talking with us. I remember vividly having deep discussions with him on various topics, from the philosophical to the inane. Most recently in March, when Mom was in hospital, I stayed with Dad, and I really treasure the long talks we had about life. I always had a lot to talk and learn from him. He and Mom were always there for us and continued being for us till now. Most of you will remember him dressed only in white, and a lot of you have written about it. In fact, my grandchildren called him White Nana. His entire personal possessions could be fitted in a small bag. He truly lived by what he believed in, simplicity and high moral values. He was also equally connected to the extended family, and the leadership he showed in his professional capacity, he showed here too, as he organized several family holidays and huge family get-togethers in different parts of India. The last gathering he had organized was a 2-day stay near Ahmedabad for all members of the extended family who were more than 70 years when he himself was 85. He was one of the most energetic people I knew who exuded this vibrancy and positivity. He was a pillar of strength, and I found great comfort and solace with him. I've looked up to him professionally and as a person, and being in the education field myself, have shared a special connection with him that I will always treasure. He and Mom have constantly inspired us to be better human beings, and he will live on in our hearts and minds forever. I now ask Jalpa to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Amita. I, Jalpa, would like to begin by thanking each one of you for being here on this special day. Papa was popularly known as Princey by all of us. The word princey had so many connotations depending on the circumstance that you were in, ranging from respect, admiration, love to sheer terror. Dad epitomized so many things to me that the only way to appreciate all of them is through recalling some of the incidents and sharing them with you. The first one that I share with you, this incident happened even before I was born. He, as a young teacher at Rajkumar College, had accompanied his students for a trip to Kashmir. By some misfortune, their boathouse reservations had got cancelled when they arrived in Srinagar late in the evening. Papa had the responsibility of all the children who were there with him. After having tried unsuccessfully at a few places, he hit upon this idea. He asked all his children to come along with him. They went to the Raj Bhavan and he requested the guards to let him meet Mr. Ghulam Mohammad, the Prime Minister of the then princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. Obviously, the guards did not let him through. Dad, being dad, was completely unfazed, and he told the kids, on my count, all of you are going to say, Ghulam Muhammad Amar Rahe. So after the silence of the night was broken by a few rounds of Ghulam Muhammad Amar Rahe, the Prime Minister himself came out to find out what the uproar was about. On learning about the tough predicament the students were in, he personally saw to it that accommodation was arranged for the entire group. Such was the tenacity, determination, and resourcefulness of Dad right from the very young age, right when he was a teacher with RKC. Coming to my school days, as a prefect of Vashishta House, I had to interact with him, but I was always very, very formal and would address him as sir, even if I was completely alone in his office. That being said, he was a very loving father at home. I remember when all of us, all 5 sisters, would go for Navratri, dance through the night, come back home tired. He would be the one who'd be there to press our legs, tuck us in, never once making us realize what a long, hard day he himself must have had. Out of all the 5 sisters, I have been the most fortunate because I have always been in the same town as mom and dad, both. And they were not just the best parents, but also the most loving grandparents anyone could hope for. My son Tanay, who's now a doctor himself, referred to Dad as Mama till he was 2 years old. This is how much love and care that they got from both mom and dad. My memories of Dad wouldn't be complete without one more incident, recollecting the innumerable holidays that all of us had. Even though I've traveled extensively, my fondest memories are of the train travels with Dad, Mom, and my 5 sisters and my grandmother. We could never afford the luxury train travel, but Dad made our compartment always feel like a second home away from home. He and Mom would clean up the compartment, put durries on the floor, put a curtain to give us a privacy of a second cozy home. The 5 sisters, Mom and Grandma, were treated to the best delicacies that every station had to offer. Dad was such an energetic and adventurous young man that even if the train had just a 2-minute halt, he would sprint down onto the station and get us the delicacy. He would just bring us something or the other to eat from every station. This also led to a lot of drama. I clearly remember this scene happening many times over. The train has just started to leave the station. My granny is besides herself with worry, and she's calling out my dad's name from the window. My mom is completely calm, as you see her right now. She's always this way, completely calm and just watching all the drama and action unfold, because she's always had complete faith on Dad. And at one time, at the behest of my grandmother, the 5 sisters even landed up pulling the chain, only to see him walking in from the next compartment. And we did land up paying a heavy price because the TT came and scolded us, but that is what it used to be. His role as a teacher actually would continue even on these train journeys, where I remember I learned how to calculate the speed of the running train by timing the distance between the poles which had the kilometer readings on them. Well, these are just a few of the memories that I wanted to share with all of you here. Our parents, like all my sisters before me, and some of you have told us, they always taught by example, whether it was respecting your elders, your colleagues, or your subordinates, treating others kindly and fairly, and to always be there selflessly for anyone who needed help. We all saw, and hopefully we all learned. I'll now pass on to Matangi, who's there waiting for her turn.
Thanks. Like Jalpa said, I do want to start by saying thank you to all the organizers, Sham, everybody else who sang today. It was so special to have this memorial and be able to celebrate Dad with everyone. So today, we've already heard all the tributes to Dad, the teacher, the principal, the educator. So today I am going to do tribute to my father, my dad as a father. He was the guy who shaped my perception of this world right from the very start. Surrounded by his 5 daughters, his wife, his mother, completely surrounded by women, he was the patriarch and the protector of the Chaya clan. But even in early 70s and 80s, I remember growing up thinking it is so natural for dads, for men, to just help with the household chores, the kids' chores, and any family decisions were made by both husband and wife. So, he gave us this complete faith that there is no difference. Women and girls can achieve anything that they put their minds to, which was a lesson we all took to heart. He was the most loving husband and dad, whether it was his love for my mom, his girls, or his extended family. I really appreciated that he never hid his emotions or feelings. I'm sure you all have experienced Dad got very emotional during the convocations, and he didn't think any less of it. And that just gave us a balance that it's okay for men to be emotional too. And as a kid, when Dad came home, he had such a balance. I mean, he had his whole work that always, he was working a lot, don't get me wrong, but he came home, and I remember as kids, he would sit down in front of us. We would get combs and clips and ponytails, and we would go to town, make 10 ponies on his hair and put multiple clips. And he just enjoyed it. You could tell he truly just enjoyed that time he had with us. And Jalpa said, to this day, the best vacations we've had were our summer vacations. And it was never the destination, right? And it was never the luxuries because we couldn't afford it. But it was the love and the fun that he made us have when we went on various trips. So I do remember this where, I don't know, Mom, I'm sure you remember it too, but I was one of those people who always ended up studying for the wrong test when I went for school to school. And I would, he didn't know this, I would skip the assembly and I would be studying for those 20 minutes, preparing for the test that I didn't know was coming. So I think Mom must have finally talked to Dad, and he sat me down and he said, look, you do whatever you want to, but from now on, just make sure that you at least check 2 days before what tests are coming. Just promise me that. I won't check how hard you're studying. Just promise that you will check what test is coming. So I think that took care of that very quickly after. And the other thing about Dad was my mom, my dadi, his mom used to live with us, and she passed away, and then his aunt became a widow, and she was over 90 years old, and they were already in their 70s. Immediately, they invited her over, did not want her to live alone, and took care of her till she passed away peacefully in their house. But this was Dad. This is what he, sort of taught us. This was his kindness, generosity of spirit, and his tenacity and optimism. You heard the incident Jalpa related, but this is the man, who really showed us the value of helping others. So no matter who it is, what they need, if they need something, you just find a way to help them. Just selflessly helping everyone, whether they're family, friends, colleagues, students, didn't matter. Always striving to do what's right. Always speak up. I mean, that's one thing nobody can fault us for. We speak up, the 5 sisters, and never backing off from a fight to do the right thing. He found a way to solve absolutely any problem, and sometimes it didn't even have to be a problem. He would manage to solve it. He was truly a self-made man who, as you heard, lost his dad at 10 years of age, but he figured out a way to support and care for not only his mom, his 2 younger sisters, and yet he was a lifelong student. He did his, he took care of his career, was continued to learn, and believed in paying it forward. And, he was so proud of his children, thousands and thousands of them. It may seem with Papa gone like it's an end of an era, but to all of us, his grandkids, his kids, my mom, his sons-in-law, he will always be with us. He is a part of who we are. And I just want to say thank you, Papa, and I love you with all my heart. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to one of the grandkids, Twisha's son, Jaikruth.
I also wanted to say that Tikisha is also here, who is the other grandchild of Papa's. Tikisha Doshi is also on the call. Hi, Jaikruth.
Hi, everyone. This has been a lovely tribute to a lovely human being. And I'm in a call. I'm in a call, just 1 minute. This has been a lovely tribute to a lovely human being. You all have said such wonderful things, and every praise and memory is very true. He has inspired so many people to be better than what they must be. There is a Sanskrit saying, it says, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. I think for Nana, we must modify it a bit. Because for him, the whole world was his family. He treated strangers, he treated relatives, everybody the same. So I think this saying holds true for him in the sense that he was our world and we were his family. People usually have very distinct memories of certain times in their childhood. I have a lot of memories of him, luckily. I distinctly remember when he used to wear his janoi and his dhoti and do pujas, make me sit there, teach me the prayers along with Nani. I always remember every home of his we went to, there were always swings. That is my fondest memory. It always used to giddy my tummy, no matter what age I was, whether it was in Delhi or Baroda, he always had swings. Also, one thing I remember very distinctly, we were all young kids and we were traveling with Nana and Nani, along with Ma, his mom. And that's the first time I witnessed somebody pass away. He was very calm. He was very composed. He knew we were there. He knew we were wondering what is happening. I distinctly remember telling us in Gujarati, "Kai wandho nahi, don't worry. My sleeping is sui gaya che. Tame bada gaadi thi bahar niklo, just stand in a corner. Everything is all right. Don't you worry." So he, no matter how difficult the situation is, he's always there to console. He's always there to do the right thing. I think one of my regrets is not learning from him more. Not being the role model he was to so many thousands of people. And so many lives he's touched. So many inspirations he's given. Each and every word of praise is not enough for him. He was a lovely human being. Along with my Nani, one can't have better role models and grandparents than them. So I don't know how much of you all will relate to, on a lighter note, the Fast and Furious movies. But there's the bald guy who's always there in all the movies, and he always says family first. And I think in a more modern sense, that's my Nana. He's the guy in the Fast and Furious movie who's fighting for his family, and he always has, always will, from wherever he is. We all miss him. God bless you, Nana. We all love you. Right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jaykruth. That was really, really very emotional. Thank you. So I'm actually going to read from the other granddaughter, one of Papa's granddaughters, Nisha, who's my daughter. She's written a couple of pages. I just wanted to read the last paragraph from there. Dear Nana, I think as I reflect on why I miss you so much, it's because you had a greater impact on my life and who I am than even I could fully realize. You always followed the beat of your own drum and followed your own heart, despite all odds or obstacles in your way. You were not concerned with what people thought or about being traditional for tradition's sake. You thought differently about the world and about what matters and about what was valuable. And in that same vein, you saw me for who I was and took such pride in who I was before even I knew who I was. You were proud of me, whether or not I got into Stanford, whether or not I did a specific career. You were proud of me for me, which is why I think somewhere along the way, you basically incepted my mind like the movie Inception. I didn't realize it, but all along I was watching you, seeing you walk the walk versus just talking the talk. I saw what impact could look like. I saw what human connection could look like through you. It's not an accident that I'm now a principal founding my own school against a lot of odds. It's because of you. And on the days when things get really hard and I feel like maybe I can't do it anymore, or maybe I chose the wrong path and I should have gone and made more money and done something easier, I think to myself, Nana would be proud. And that is honestly what I need. It makes me feel so lucky to have something that connects me to you beyond our physical time in this world together. Thank you for giving me the strength to march to the beat of my own drum, even when I doubt myself. And thank you for always making me feel like I was enough and that I'm worthy. I love you. From Nisha. I think my mama would like to say a few words now, unless somebody else has something to say. So.
आप सबको थैंक यू सो मच, बहुत सारा प्यार दिखाया।
बाप का वीडियो ऑन नहीं दिख रहा मुझे, और अब आपकी आवाज भी नहीं आ रही।
इट इज ऑन। आप लोग ने बहुत सारा प्यार दिखाया और सब, इसलिए थैंक यू सो मच।
Manish, could you hear mom?
Yeah, we could hear her.
Yeah.
Sham bhai.
Yeah. Anyone else want to speak? We promised to the family that we will work on the ideals that your father has taught us. वाह, हम आपको यही गिफ्ट दे सकते हैं कि डॉक्टर छाया ने हमें जो सिखाया उस पथ पर चलें. This was the best part. There are so many, if you see the Facebook and all, people loved hearing you. They became emotional listening to all of you, the family. We have a very dear Bhavanite of ours who's now the vice principal. So see, Dr. Chaya would have been so happy. Alka Jaiswal, 1980 Bhavanite, you know. And I have known her as a junior. So एक तो वाइस प्रिंसिपल मिलेंगे जिसको मैं तू करके बात कर सकता हूँ. She has a lovely poem to offer. Alka, you'll give your tribute now. Vice Principal Alka, our dear Bhavanite 1980 batch.
Thank you, Sham. Good evening to the August gathering. Life is the greatest gift that God has given us. Death is only a bridge towards eternal life with God. Certainly heaven is rejoicing, for another soul has finally reached his true home. Today is an incredible and solemn occasion when we all have gathered here on the online platform with nostalgic memories to pay our heartfelt and deepest respect to our mentor, philosopher and guide, Dr. M.P. Chaya. Sir has been a father figure for all students and staff members, and we are singularly fortunate to have blossomed under his tutelage. Dr. Chaya was an excellent educationalist who inspired and impacted thousands of lives. His nature of selfless service and helping others, family, friends, colleagues, and students was exemplary. He was above all a dutiful son, loving and caring husband, and a nurturing and loving father who taught by example how to live a truly meaningful life. वक्त की धूप हो या तेज आंधियां, कुछ कदमों के निशान कभी नहीं खोते. जिन्हें याद करके मुस्कुरा दें ये आंखें, वो लोग दूर होकर भी दूर नहीं होते. We lost our beloved mentor on 24th August 2021, but our Gurudev will continue to live in the hearts of millions whose life he touched in big and small ways. Chaya sir, the saint in white, was truly a star who will now continue to illuminate our world with his sparkle from heaven above. I would pay my tribute to sir by reading a few lines. आप सा न मिला कोई गुरुदेव, ना ही अन्य कोई होगा, जिनके सन्मुख श्रद्धा और प्रेम से जन जन नतशिर होगा. नम हो जाती हैं ये आंखें जब याद आपकी आती, कभी मुस्कुरा जाते हैं हम जब हंसमुख छवि स्मृति पे छाती. आपने ज्ञान का मार्ग दिखलाया, रिश्तों का सही मूल्य समझाया, भेदभाव से ऊपर उठकर सबको हृदय से गले लगाया. आप दीपक का प्रकाश रहे हैं, मन का अटल विश्वास रहे हैं, भवन के कोहिनूर रहे हैं, करते दिलों पर राज रहे हैं. करबद्ध करें हम यही प्रार्थना, स्वीकार करे जिसे परमात्मा, ईश्वर के चरणों में पा जाए परम स्थान आपकी निर्मल आत्मा. We are deeply humbled by the benign and gracious presence of Mrs. Chaya, Trisha, Rupangi, Amita, Jalpa, Matangi, the grandchildren and all members of the family for joining us on this solemn occasion when we are celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. M.P. Chaya. We are truly grateful to Almighty for a life so well and meaningfully lived. I further offer my in-depth gratitude to Shri Rajesh Mishra, Registrar Bharati Vidya Bhavans Delhi Kendra, and Dr. Mrs. Anju Tandon, Principal Bhavans Mehta Vidyalaya, for offering their tributes today. I further extend my profound gratitude to Dr. Siddharth Ramji, President Bhavanites Association, for sharing his anecdotes on his journey with Sir and speaking his great values. We are deeply honored and extremely thankful to our artists, Shobha Mishra Bhardwaj from 1980 batch, Anjuman Kusumwal Saxena from 1985 batch, Sharat Chandra Srivastava from 1990 batch for their mesmerizing renditions and performances. I would be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge the commendable efforts of Mr. Manish Ahuja, Secretary Bhavanites Association, along with Mrs. Neena Malik, Mrs. Parinita Sengupta, Mrs. Suman Kukreja, Mrs. Bharti Bhardwaj, Mr. Sumit Arora, Mrs. Charu Lata, and Mr. Gautam Singh. Bhavanites Association is truly a bridge which maintains the eternal and sacred bond of all alumni with their alma mater, just like the branches of a tree growing in diverse directions remain united with the roots. Let me not forget to accord my profound gratitude to Sutradhar Shyam Banerjee for anchoring and weaving the show so beautifully and flawlessly. Last but not the least, let me offer my sincere thanks to all educationists, staff members, colleagues, students, and Bhavanites for publishing their tributes and being a wonderful audience today on the online platform. I now request Mr. Manish Ahuja to share his feelings of gratitude, and over to Mr. Manish now.
शुक्रिया अलका। मैं सबसे पहले फिर से आभार प्रकट करता हूं डॉक्टर छाया की फैमिली का। आज आप लोग आए और छाया जी के जीवन काल की उन बातों को हमें बताया जिसका हमें ज्ञान नहीं था। बहुत कुछ कहा गया है छाया जी के व्यक्तित्व पर, वो हमारे मार्गदर्शक थे। हर साइटेशन जो श्याम भाई ने पढ़ी वो अनुपम थी। मेरा पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस, मैं सिर्फ ये कहूंगा कि मैं एक साधारण सा स्टूडेंट था, कोशिश पूरी करता था क्योंकि यही छाया जी मुझसे एक्सपेक्ट करते थे। मैं नाटक करता था, मुझे एक्टिंग करनी नहीं आती थी। स्पोर्ट्स में मैं ढीला ढाला था पर कोशिश जाता जरूर था। एकेडमिक्स में भी लगभग ठीक ठाक था, पर कहीं ना कहीं जो छाया जी का व्यक्तित्व था, जिस तरह से वो इंस्पायर करते थे, उसने इन कोशिशों को बढ़ावा दिया, मुझे उत्साहित किया। तो मुझे लगता है कि छाया जी के कार्यकाल में हर स्टूडेंट ने अपना अपना बेहतर से बेहतर परफॉर्मेंस और प्रदर्शन किया। मैं सबसे पहले चाहूंगा कि मेरा कोर ग्रुप जिन्होंने ये इतना खूबसूरत इवेंट किया है, मैं उनको आपसे इंट्रोड्यूस कराऊं। क्या नीना आ सकती हैं वीडियो में? कैन शी बी देयर? एंड देन परिणीता। नीना, आई एम पिनिंग यू। नीना नहीं, अभी तो डॉक्टर राम जी आए हैं। सुमन, कैन यू हेल्प? नीना, परिणीता, गौतम, भारती, आप अपने वीडियोस ऑन कर लें, बिकॉज लोगों को दिखे कि किन लोगों ने पीछे से मेहनत करी है। सब लोग छुप गए मेरे, कहाँ गए सब लोग?
हम यही हैं,
सब यही हैं, लेकिन मुझे दिख नहीं रहे, ऐसा क्यों है? आप सुमन, आपका वीडियो ऑन नहीं है।
ऑन मनीष।
या चलो, चारू मुझे दिखी, मैंने चारू को पिन किया, और मुझे परिणीता भी दिखी थी अभी।
Everyone's on spotlight, Manish.
Everybody is on spotlight? Okay.
Except Bharti, she doesn't seem to be here.
और सुमित बीमार हैं।
हाँ जी।
ओके ओके, ठीक है। तो मैं आभार प्रकट करता हूँ अपनी कोर टीम का, जिन्होंने इतनी मेहनत से यहाँ पे ये इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज किया। जल्पा का, जिन्होंने हमारे को बहुत उत्साहित किया, हमें बहुत इंफॉर्मेशन दी। परिवार का जो लिंक था वो हमारा जल्पा से था। मैं आभार प्रकट करता हूँ स्कूल का, विद्यालय का, दिल्ली केंद्र का। मैं आभार प्रकट करता हूँ श्याम भाई का। आपकी डोर में हमने श्रद्धांजलि की डोर थमाकर, आपके हाथों में श्रद्धांजलि की डोर थमाकर हम निश्चिंत हो गए। इस जूम रूम में उपस्थित सभी विशिष्ट व्यक्तियों का आपके सामने हमने छाया जी की जीवनी को दिखाया और ऑडियो विजुअल्स और सब सुना। मैं आपका आभारी हूं, आप रहे हमारे साथ। सुमन भारती आ गई थी बीच में, अगर वो स्पॉटलाइट पे नहीं है तो जरूर डाल दीजिए उसको, ये भारती आ रही है, ठीक है? मैं नहीं चाहता वो मिस करे, वो हमेशा मिस करती।
कर दिया, आ गई हैं।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। दोस्तों, भारतीय विद्या भवन ने हमारे को, जैसे सुदीप चौधरी ने कहा और श्याम भाई ने कहा, एक पुष्पमाला थी जिसके छाया जी थ्रेड थे और हम सब छोटी छोटी पंखुड़ियां थी। वो पुष्पमाला में एक चीज कॉमन थी, भवन का कल्चर, भवन का ईथॉस। भवन ने हमें प्रोग्रेसिव बनाया, लिबरल बनाया। भवन ने हमें अपनी संस्कृति के साथ भी जुड़े रखा और ये सब चीजें मुझे लगता है छाया जी ने समझी, बिकॉज भवन कुलपति के मुंशी से शुरू हुआ। छाया जी ने उसको समझा और आगे इस स्कूल के अंदर, इस विद्यालय के अंदर उन्होंने कुलपति साहब की जो भी विजन थी उसको हमारे सामने रखा और हम लोग ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स पास आउट हुए जो कि संस्कृति से भी जुड़े हुए थे और लिबरल और प्रोग्रेसिव भी थे। हमारी सर्वधर्म प्रेयर सबको पता है। सर्वधर्म प्रेयर हमारे को याद दिलाती है देश की अखंडता, देश की प्लूरैलिटी, देश की इंक्लूसिवनेस। ये हमें हमारे डीएनए में डाल दिया गया, मुझे ऐसा लगता है, और ये इस सब का श्रेय भवन को है और छाया जी को है। ये मुनासिब रहेगा, मैं एसोसिएशन की तरफ से जितने भी दोस्त मेरे इसको देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे छाया जी की स्मृति में, यहाँ पे हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, यूट्यूब पे, फेसबुक पे, जहां भी जुड़े हुए हैं, मैं उनसे आग्रह करूंगा, उनसे निवेदन करूंगा कि आप भारतीय विद्या भवन से फिर से जुड़ें। जो हमने पाया है भवन से वो उसको वापस देने की कोशिश करें। 5 बेटियां जिसमें से कि 4 भवनाइट हैं, उनसे मैं पर्सनल रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, हम लोग तैयार हैं। मैं ये स्कूल की तरफ से और एसोसिएशन की तरफ से आपको ये रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूं। आई एम assuring you on behalf of the school management and the Bhavanites Association that we are looking forward to your involvement and contribution to taking the school to further heights, be it setting up an incubator or a research lab or a sports project, or just simply making a contribution towards the scholarships which the association is doing for the school. आपने छाया जी के वीडियो में जो हमने एवी में डाला वो आपने देखा होगा, वहां छाया जी कह रहे थे, जो हमारे 35th बैच, हमारे 84 बैच का 35th रियूनियन था, मातंगी है वो जानती है, हमारे साथ थी। सर ने कहा था कि हम हर भावनाइट एक स्टूडेंट की एजुकेशन को सपोर्ट करें। ये उनकी हमसे रिक्वेस्ट थी। हमें कोशिश करनी है उनकी इस तरह की रिक्वेस्ट को आगे ले जाने की। हम चाहेंगे कि हर बैच से लोग एसोसिएशन को, अम्ब्रेला एसोसिएशन को कांटेक्ट करें, हमसे बात करें, स्कॉलरशिप्स की बात करें। खाली स्कॉलरशिप्स नहीं, खाली पैसा नहीं, पैसे की दिक्कत नहीं। हम चाहते हैं कि भवनाइट्स ने इतना अचीव किया है, हम चाहते हैं कि आप लोग वापस आएं और कंट्रीब्यूट करें। प्रिंसिपल साहिबा के ऑफिस खुले हैं, अलका वाइस प्रिंसिपल है, भवनाइट है, हम लोग हैं, हम कोर ग्रुप सालों साल से मेहनत कर रहा है कि एलुमनाई वापस विद्यालय को दे। तो ये बहुत मैं आपसे निवेदन करूंगा कि छाया जी की स्मृति में हम लोग जुड़े हैं एक साथ, जरूर इसको करें। अंत में हम लोग छाया जी की स्मृति में 2 मिनट का मौन रखेंगे, a 2 minutes silence, and then we conclude the event. बहुत 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 शुक्रिया। शांति शांति शांति। धीरे धीरे लोग जूम रूम को लीव कर सकते हैं।
Thank you, Manish, and the group. Really, thank you so much.
Thank you from all of us, really. It was very, very nice.